What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another epicseven video, and with what's on my screen, you guys know what time it is. It is time to talk about Kluri's Nerf and the important decision for those of us who have invested in her and used her in various contents of the game. Is she worth the recall? So we're going to go into it today. Is she worth the recall? Yes or no? So basically, what's going to happen, if you guys don't know what a recall is, back when the Holy Trinity, which was Tierra, Axe God was the fourth add-in, and then Ricorous and Elson were around, they had a recall system made when they nerfed those guys to pretty much hell. Kluri didn't get as big of a nerf, but basically what will happen is you will revert your character back to her 3-star level. I believe she'll go to 3-star level. Because she is a specially changed character, this is a unique situation. This is the first time. They said she will revert back to her old form. I'm not sure if she's going to start as a 5-star or if she's actually going to go all the way back to a 3-star and you would have to re-promote her to a 5-star again. But needless to say, you will be able to do her specially change and you will not have to go through the trials again. So, worst case scenario, you would get all the fodder back, you would get all the experience back, you would get all the gold, all of the ruins, all of the Mologoras, and all the gold used to get her to whatever level she was at. And you could technically go through the process again if you wanted to. The point to recall in that essence, if you still wanted to redo her, you could keep the ruins, and then you could basically just put all the stuff back in her and redo that. But you could take out the Mologoras, so that could be a big thing. If you wanted to keep her, but not really have her Mologora investment, you do have that option. So, let's go into what happened to her. So, you guys know on her S3, that got increased to a 1-turn cooldown, a 1 additional turn cooldown, which is going to make her a 5-turn cooldown if you have her skill up. Then, with her ruin tree, we actually will go into her ruin tree real fast in her skill tree here. And if I can find the right one, I'm pretty sure it's further down, right? Speed, effect chance, so it should be here, right? Yeah, okay. So it has a 15% chance to be granted an extra turn at the end of the turn, can be activated once per turn. So that is going to get changed to, she gets 50% combat readiness at only a 10% chance, though. So keep that in mind, guys. So that is the big change that's happening to her. So depending on where you guys are at in the game, that is going to depend whether or not you think it's worth it to recall her or to keep her as is. I would say if you are completely done with content like myself, like I've beaten all PvE content, I beat Hell Raid every week, I beat Normal Raid every week, and I have through 90 on Abyss floors done. I do not regret my investment whatsoever with her, and regardless, I could get my stuff back. Because she literally was such a key component to beating all those content. But nowadays, I do have other units to replace her. Like, I have a Shadow Rose. Shadow Rose is a very good replacement because she has push and pull combat readiness. She has 2 defense breaks on her. She has an unhealable, and she has a 1 buff strip on an ally. So she's a very good replacement for her. Also, we have Charles. Charles, I would say, is probably the closest replacement you're going to get to a flat Kluri because he has his S1 attack break, so an attack break on his S1, but his S2 can be triggered off of his S1 at a 50% chance if the enemy is buffed, and then he has a strip, which will go, if you skill up him to skill 4, then he is going to have a 100% chance to strip just like Kluri. So you get that strip off that. You don't have the armor break, but if you were to run a team comp like something like him, Shadow Rose, a main other DPS unit, and then maybe like your healer support like Tamarine, that would be a good, kind of replacement. If you are running Luna, then you could run Luna as your particular armor break and your main DPS. Then this guy could be kind of your secondary utility DPS, and then you could run Tamarine and Angelica still as your dedicated healers and supporters. So there's still a lot of ways you could probably still beat the higher end, even Abyss content. In Hell Raid especially, with substitutions. So those are 2 big units. Obviously, Tamarine will fill that role as a stripper that you can use in her idle form. And then she also is going to give you healing as well. A lot of healing. So comparable healing, like actually way more comparable healing than Kluri. So, there's a lot of ways you can go about not having to use Kluri. So it all depends on what you guys are looking to do with your accounts and where you're at in progression. I would say if you guys are really struggling with healers and strippers, I would definitely keep Kluri in your arsenal for PvE, because she's still going to be good. She's still going to have that S1 increased combat readiness. She's still going to have the ability to strip. You know, the percentage on strip doesn't go away, the defense break doesn't go away, and the continuous healing. Her S2 is completely unchanged. So her S2 is completely the same. Her S1 is completely the same. It's just, you know, one more turn on her S3, and then the ruin change as well. So if you're looking for PvP use, then I would definitely recall her. If you're only using her for PvP, primarily for defense or possibly offense, but primarily for your defense team, a lot of units can replace her on your defense team. So let's go through some of the ones that I particularly have, and then I'll go through some ones that I don't have. Angelica obviously is a great defense unit because of her tankiness. You guys know in her Awakening tree, she has pretty much all HP in defense. And then she has, you know, just an amazing S3 that has, you can get it to a 4-turn cooldown with immunity and barrier and healing, and then her S2 is only a 2-turn cooldown. A lot of people thought she was a prime unit to get hit, so Angelica is a very good replacement for PvP defense. Assassin Cartuja, another prime unit that could be on the chopping block down the road as well if they choose to hit ML characters. Just because his usefulness and utility, he has a defense break and stun on his S3, he's got a bleed on his S1, and then he has evasion chance for all allies by 15% when the increased evasion chance by all allies by 15%, and then when the turn ends when the turn ends successfully evades the next attack once. So, and then combat readiness increases by 10% each time evading enemies attack. So just so much utility with his kit. So he's very, very good for defense. He still can be also used in Guild War and offense, and even in PvE, he's still a very good unit. So he's a very good replacement also for defense PvP for Kluri. Doesn't really do as much in PvE aspect outside of defense break, as far as like, because he doesn't do a strip or anything like that, and he is a little bit less on PvE because stun is not very good in PvE, as we all know. So, and Charles again is another great defense unit. He has an attack up, he has a defense up, he has his strip, he has, and then he has an attack break as well. So putting him on, you know, next week we are going to get the ritual sword in the shop, so that's going to give you guys a 15% rate to counter, or you can go like I'm doing as well. I'm trying to build him into a counter set as well. So that's another way you can utilize him to trigger his S1 into S2 on even your opponent's turn. So it can be very, very useful. He also can be put on a unity set as well. I do recommend getting him quite a bit of effectiveness though. My effectiveness right now is very, very high, 82%. I'm looking to kind of shave that off a little bit, trying to get him into like a 60 to 75% effectiveness and break up some of his other stats like his speed, his health, his defense, and his attack, and his crit rate chance as well. I'm okay with his crit hit damage being between 215 to 240. So we'll have to see how his gear pans out for the rest of it. But he's another great replacement for your defense teams. For unit, and also Ken. Fire Ken is very good as well for defense, just because of how tanky he is. If he gets into his S3, it is really hard to come back because he has a 100% chance to stun, and then he also has the ability here also to defense break on 2 different attacks, and his S1 has burn as well. So very, very awesome unit for PvE defense. Deanne's another good PvE unit for defense. Obviously, a lot of us know that. She's been in the game for such a long time. That's why there's a lot of counters to her. She has barrier. She has cleansing. She has attack up. She has crit rate reduction. All that good stuff. So let's go into now some other units you guys could potentially use. So let's go into our journal real fast for PvE defense, just to wrap up the video today. So let's go. I know water is for sure something we want to look into. We want to go into Crow. So Crow is probably one of the best PvE defense units still in the game, and that is simply because of how tanky he is and how hard he is to kill. So he basically can almost one-shot any character with his S3. So that is going to penetrate defense, and it also grants a barrier to the caster for 2 turns. And his multiplier is insanely high. And the fact that it penetrates defense, and this attack cannot trigger a critical hit, but that doesn't matter because he still like one-shots pretty much everybody. And then his S2 charge is insanely good as well. It decreases combat readiness of the enemy by 35%, and then increases defense of all allies by 2 turns. So increased defense, I feel, is so much better than barriers, because barriers can be eaten through damage. Defense will remain even if they're attacked. So unless you strip it, it's just going to continuously create defense improvement on your allies. And then he has an S1 provoke, and he's another possible unit you could replace for Falcon or Kluri, because he does have a provoke and he does have a defense up. And then he has a barrier as well. So he's another kind of pseudo replacement. I would say more he's a replacement for floor 86 in Abyss, because he has provoke, and you really want a single target provoke if possible. The fact that his is on an S1 is great, so that way he can provoke the mushroom continuously on Abyss 86. So he was the other main unit I wanted to go over for kind of defense for PvP. Let me just scroll through the elements and just see if there's any other unit that jumps out at me that's like crazy good for defense real fast for you guys before we end the video. Destina is another really good defense unit similar to Angelica, just because she's insanely tanky. She has that oh shit button on her S3, even though it's insanely long cooldown. You guys know, because it is a 6-turn cooldown. Goes down to a 5-turn cooldown when you skill it, but it's just a massive AoE heal, and then it also cleanses and gives combat readiness, so very, very good. And then she's got another heal and increases combat readiness, so just straight up healer tanker. Nothing, there's not like a utility package in her. Violet's another really good PvP defense unit, because he has a counterattack built in, very similar to a ML Ken, and then he does pierces damage to the start and loses all focus damage dealt increases. So his S3 just deals a lot when he has a lot of focus. He gets evasion chance up as well, and you guys know things like Moonlight Dreamblade and his own artifact are very good artifacts for him to increase evasion, and he has 100% chance to decrease attack of the target for 2 turns. So very, very awesome unit as well you guys could potentially bring. So I'm not going to go through the whole list of all the characters and all the elements, but those were just some options you guys have for replacement for Falcon or Kluri, and hopefully this will make your decision easier if you guys are going to recall her. I would say, like I said, if you're looking here purely from a PvP more usage standpoint like myself, I would say it's a wise decision to recall her to get your resources back to invest in other units that are going to help you in Guild War and PvP. If you're still looking to beat PvE content and you don't have good replacements for her, highly, highly, highly recommend you guys still use her, because she still will have you very good utility in PvE. So with that being said, guys, I hope you guys all enjoyed today's video. If you guys did, don't forget to drop a like down below and subscribe as always if you guys are new. If you guys did enjoy today's content, and I do appreciate your guys' continued support as always. This is your boy Fort Misery Gaming, and we'll see you guys in the next Epic 7 video. Peace, guys.